Hi, this is us, where John, Paola, Mafer, Evelyn, Axel, and me, Melanie. This is our first year together as a class, as the business class in 4th Utah. We have a lot of new classes, and the one that we're the most excited about is really world history. We haven't really been in a history class yet, except for in third course that we had US history, but we didn't have too much to talk about it. We are about to step into Miss Shalev's class. Little do we know we're about to begin a huge journey with Miss Shalev, the IV, and a lot of other stuff that we don't really know about yet. First things first, we have Miss Sally Shalev. She's one of the best teachers that we've met yet. She's so smart, knowledgeable, she's generally just amazing. She's funny, kind, dedicated, and hard worker. Oh no, sorry, she's Mrs. Shalev now. Well, but she's got a bit of a short temper sometimes, especially if someone's sleeping in her class. Yeah, you don't want to be that person. And it's true, she can be quite scary in that scenario. Yeah. But never mind that, she's generally amazing. Unless you're the Muppets. Anyhow, let's begin with what we learned in fourth course. In fourth course, we watched a lot of documentaries from History Channel, I guess. They were documentaries about the history of humanity, our roots, and where did we come from. We learned about the greatest empires, like the Roman Empire, its rise and its fall, what countries did they cover, and what currency did they use, and pretty much everything about them. Also the Ottoman Empire. We also learned about the Old World and the New World, the Old World being Europe and the New World being America. We learned about how people migrated from Europe to America in search of new land, the invasions and the conquers, and how they make trade between both. Yeah. We also learn about the first printed book and pretty much one of the greatest inventions, which was the one of paper. And the first book ever distributed, which was the Bible, if I can recall. Yeah, if we're wrong, sorry. And we also learn about the Black Plague, which was a huge sickness spread throughout America and Europe with the fleas that were in the rats that were in the ships that crossed the sea. A lot of people died. And also about a lot of other random stuff that we're supposed to know, but we don't quite remember. Yeah, we kind of forgot about them. Sorry. We also did a lot of projects. The one that I think we remember the most is the one about the family trees. Everyone was supposed to make a family tree and present it in front of the class, and we learned a lot about interesting roots from our classmates. And a lot of other projects. Yeah, we don't quite remember those either. Sorry, the fourth course is kind of a blur. Sorry. Again. Yeah, moving on. Now we're in fifth course. Fifth course was Virginia, and our second year in the world history class, which we thought would be our last. Turns out it wasn't. Anyhow, things began to get quite interesting as we began to learn more about modern day history. Well, somewhat modern day history. And also, we gave our all, as Miss Shalev also gave her all. Remember how I mentioned that fourth course was quite a blur? Yeah, it was. We know that somewhere along the long year that we had in the world history class, we learned about World War One. We don't quite know when, we just know it sort of happened. Yeah. By this point, we knew about World War One and the Triple Alliance, Triple Entente, how Germany was involved and a lot of European countries, and that the United States was involved at last. But now this year, we learn how it ended. We learn about all of the treaties involved, the resolutions that were made in the Paris Peace Conference, the Treaty of Versailles, the Treaty of Neuilly, the Treaty of Saint Lucerne, the Treaty of Trianon, and the Treaty of Sèvres, Treaty of Saint Germain, and yeah, pretty much that. We also learned about important personalities of World War I, one of which was former United States President Woodrow Wilson. He created this 14 points. Yeah, we know it's a bad pun. Pun totally intended. Yeah. Among those 14 points was the League of Nations. We learned about its creation and its dissolution, why it didn't work, and how it gave an opening to the current United Nations. We also somewhat learned about the Israeli and Palestinian conflict, but we're not going to cover that right now. We'll leave it for later, as the knowledge that we had in fifth course of it was quite scarce. We end the year with the news that we can now do IB certificates in world history, which is something that the business class was not supposed to do, so this means that in sixth course we will also receive this class. And at the very end of the year, we received huge news, and I'm talking huge news. It was spreading like a rumor throughout the entire school, and we just needed to talk to Ms. Shalev to find out if it was true that Sally Shalev, former spy, former, I don't know, sniper, insert here important political title that we don't know about. It's just so many titles, really. And our current teacher, which is the only title that we're certain about. Miss Ellie, you're great. I don't know how you did all of that, but you're great. Anyhow, we learned that she is pregnant and she was going to have 2 cute little twin babies. We couldn't be happier, so we pretty much all hugged her. Yeah. Congrats, miss. Before sixth course, 3 weeks in March, we received somewhat of a history crash course because Michelle was pregnant, so we knew that she was leaving early and the certificates or diplomas needed their IB knowledge. So we learned about the early Cold War. The Cold War was pretty much a non-armed conflict in which you had 2 sides, the USSR and the United States. The USSR with communism and socialism, and the United States which represented capitalism. One of the iconic items of Cold War was the red phone. We also learned about the Truman Doctrine, the Marshall Plan, and the Potsdam and Yalta conferences, which were key points to the Cold War and giving a beginning to peace. After that, we had a break. It was a 3-month break, which was Michelev's maternity leave. Yeah, we did nothing.
Game over.
What the fuck?
And moving on. After 3 months of maternity leave and spending 1 complete month, I think, with her cute little babies, Michelev was finally back. And fortunately, she was back 1 month before the IB exams. But much to the despair of the IB students, of the history certificates, the history exam was one of the first ones. If I recall, it was in the first week. It was tragic to see everyone outside the auditorium, sleep deprived, freaking out, with terrible faces, some of them crying. Actually, some of them were sleeping in the auditorium. But after that 1 complete month of torture, after completing the internal assessments and every single exam, we were done. And we were happy. We got our souls back. After that, we came back to class and we began by learning about ISIS, which would be the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. It's quite a scary organization in which they believe in extreme Islam and the creation of the Caliph, which is a government under Islamic ruling. Sadly, one night of Friday, everything turned black in France, as every light turned off, including the Eiffel Tower, due to terrorist attacks by the previously mentioned group. It was a true tragedy for the whole world, and it was a commotion. The tragedy occurred in 5 different locations, 2 of which one was a death metal concert, and another one was a football game. Throughout the game, you can hear multiple bombings, and eventually everyone was evacuated. One of the most moving parts about the football game was in the process of evacuation. Everyone began singing their hearts out to the national anthem of France. When I watched the video, it honestly gave me chills, and I believe it would to everyone.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Due to that, Michelev had this wonderful idea to put us up in groups and make a project in which we should pretty much solve the ISIS problem with Syria. Everyone had pretty interesting ideas and gave solutions. Then we proceeded to watch the documentary Fahrenheit 9/11. Along this documentary, we could find a lot of similarities with past history events, and we learned valuable lessons that Michelev always tells us. History always repeats itself.
Well, we have mentioned a lot of things that we have learned in these past 3 years, and I believe that it has been a great journey. I think that all the things that we have learned are going to help me to understand the things that will happen in the world in the future and that are happening right now in the present. I want to thank Ms. Shalev because she has been a great help for us, for all of us, and especially for me, as she was my supervisor for the extended essay. So I thank you, Ms. Shalev, for all the knowledge that you have given to us.
Throughout these 3 years in the world history class with Ms. Shalev, I learned quite a lot about history and about the world and how it functions, and I think this will be really useful to me personally and professionally because, as I said in the video and as Ms. Shalev always says, history always repeats itself, so I think we can at least learn about our mistakes and not make them ourselves. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Shalev, for all these years and for your dedication, which is really quite admirable. We respect you a lot, and yeah, thank you.
Well, hi, Miss Shalev. What I have learned these 3 years is that how the world have changed, and this will help me in the future because I don't know, the world changes every time, and I don't know, Miss, I just want to thank you because you are one of my favorite teachers because you teach me how to be responsible, and I know it's difficult to me to say goodbye to you because you are one of my favorite teachers. Bye, Miss. Close the door.
Before I've been in Ms. Shalev's class, I thought that history wasn't important for life, but right now I can see that it is. So that you have to know what is happening in your country and also in the other side of the world. So thank you, Miss, for being that teacher that told me that history is important, and yeah, thanks.
So, hi Miss, thank you for being our teacher because you're one of the most important ones. You teach us how the world functions and why all these things happen nowadays. We now learn why these terrorist attacks, this economical financial crisis, all this happens because of a reason that happened many years ago. We didn't thought that it was very important, but now we understand that with all your teaching techniques, we now get interested in history, and it will serve us in the future. So thank you.
In these 3 years, I learned about the history of the world and the explanation about the sources that are occurring actually. That led me think about the solutions that I and all the world could do to choose a solution. So thank you, Ms. Shalev, for letting me have a new vision about history and the world.
Well, bye.
Te quedé seguro de hacer.